Wade Zaglis from Education Review. Today I'm talking to Aman. So it's a big day in Sydney today with the climate strike starting at the Domain. Do you think students should participate in these kinds of climate strikes on school days? Are they legitimate enough? Is enough action getting done? What are your thoughts on that?
I think that it's quite funny when we hear politicians or adults saying that students aren't engaged within various different sorts of forms of political discourse, and yet at the same time push the line in saying that students ought not engage within political discourse when they're doing so here. I think it's inherently useful to get students to participate within the sort of conversations that are literally going to affect them to a far, far greater extent than any adult at the moment, because climate change is an issue that will disproportionately affect the future. I think they also have a right to have a voice within that discussion, especially if the contemporary actions of governments don't affect them now but affect students in the future. But I think moreover, I think general forms of protest is good, and I think students oftentimes have political opinions despite not being over the age of 18, and they still should be able to voice that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that at the point in which they are able to choose, I think students can choose what they want to prioritise, and one day of learning isn't necessarily going to impair them that much, but a collective rally for their own collective security and safety in the future just might be worth it.
We thought we'd ask Jason here what his thoughts are on the topic. Should students be at school today or at the climate strike? And why do you think that?
Look, I have two daughters myself, and I value their opinions, but I just don't believe there's a place for children or persons under the 18 years of age to be able to step out and not be at school and demand change. I don't think they have a right to demand anything. I think they just should be at school.
You think that their activism is something that needs...
It should be done a different way, or mentioned a different way, or different way.
They need to be more worldly. Is that what you?
I just don't think they should be leaving school and protesting.
Too many important things happening at school.
Correct.
Today I'm talking with Shannon. And Shannon, do you think students should be participating in such an event on a school day, or do you think learning is more important than, say, activism for social good?
Look, I think missing school for a day is not going to kill anyone, and 100,000 people in strong numbers represents something that they believe in. Whether or not people are using it as a day off or an excuse to have a day off, that's irrelevant, but it might be really addressing the bigger point of climate change and where we need to move together collectively in the future. And the 100,000 students are our future, so if they're identifying it now, then maybe we should be assisting them with this push forward to understand climate change and where we need to go as a nation forward.
Yeah. They're really looking at the federal government to start taking some tough action.
So maybe with these big numbers, they might turn around and go, hey, maybe we have something here that we need to work with, and we need to assess it and take it very serious.
I'm here with Jeanine to hear her thoughts. Do you think that students should be able to take a day off? Do you think it's that important to them, and why?
I don't think it's that important, and I think it's great that they're doing it. It's nice that young people are having a say, that they feel so strongly that they are willing to come and support the strike. It's going to be their lives that are affected, as ours, but I think they understand it better. They probably talk about it more than what we would have ever done. Yeah. So I think it's fantastic they're doing it.
Yeah. And I guess, it's not happening every week. I mean, it's debatable how much content one day, they'll miss out on one day, really compared to...
Yeah, but all the conversation that goes with taking the day off, I think is educational in itself.
Yeah, exactly. Meg, do you think students should be taking the day off to participate in these kinds of things? Why or why not?
Well, definitely. I took the day off today to come down and strike. That's where I'm heading right now.
Okay.
I think it's a great opportunity for people to show that they're passionate about the issue and for an attempt to get our voices heard. Yeah, so I think it's definitely a good thing, and it's one day off school. I mean, even if you're doing what Greta's doing and taking every Friday off, that is probably more significant than sitting in a classroom and not learning things that are actually going to impact our lives, really.
In particular, what aren't you happy with Australia's approach towards climate change?
Well, currently we're still backing big coal, and all our economy is still invested in these fossil fuels. And I think that's the thing that annoys me the most. And really, right now, the politicians and the few big people in power are more interested in their own personal investment than the country as a whole. So yeah, those kind of things need to stop, and we need to have a more diverse spread of power and control over these things.